fly a drone in Europe. Me too. But when I was looking at what we needed to do, I felt overwhelmed. I was like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. I thought I had to take a class like I did here in the United States to get my 107 license, but that's not the case. And it actually took me, after about an hour worth of research, it really took me about 45 minutes to be able to fly my drone in Europe. And here's how. First step is you have to go to the EASA website. That stands for the European Union Aviation Safety Agency. Now, that's where all the rules are set up. About last year, the European Union came up with a blanket rule for drones in the European Union, and everybody's adopted it. So every country had their own rules. Some of them still have their own rules, and then they added the EASA onto it. So make sure you do your research when you go to that specific country. But here's what I found. Okay. In the European Union, it's pretty much the same rules as flying here in the United States. So it's almost like the European Union is like, oh, America did this, cool, we'll copy it. We'll just change feet to meters. So it's really simple. So in order to fly in Europe, you have to register with the first country you plan on visiting. I plan on visiting Ireland first, so that's the country that I'm filing my paperwork with and registering. So if you file with one person in the EU, you're good for all of the EU, so you don't have to register in every country, which I thought you had to do, but that's not the case. Now, what I did is I got into the IAA, so that's the Irish Aviation Authority, and their website. You click on UAS and it tells you what you need to do to register for your drone. So the first thing I had to do is I had to fill out a SRS identity verification request form. It looks like this. I had to print it out, manually sign it, and send it in. Took about 2 days. I got approval that I have been verified. I had to upload a picture of my driver's license. You can do your passport, whatever. They need to see some kind of government issued ID to show your name with you for their records. So I got that and I printed it out. And I'm going to put it in this binder that I have that I'm taking with me. So whenever I'm shooting my drone footage, I will have this binder with me. So if I'm ever questioned, I can say, yes, I've been registered with Ireland. And per the EASA, that's all I need to do for all the European Union. The next thing you had to do is you had to create your account and register. So I did that and they gave me a registration number. That probably took me about 10 minutes to do, nothing strenuous or anything like that. It was really an easy process. But then I got a registration number. So that registration number has to go on all of the drones that I plan on taking. But then I got into, trying to figure out, well, how do I take this online training that I have to take? Well, it's on the website. And it's from the IAA, but it's pretty much the EASA video. It's in English. It took about 10 minutes to watch, and you have 40 questions to answer. If you have your 107 license, it's so much simpler than what we had to do for the FAA. There's no weather patterns that you have to try and track. There's no airport operations, things like that. It's just simple questions. And I got about 30 questions in, and then I saw this little box on the right-hand side that said helpful hints or tips. And I looked at it, and it was pretty much the answers to the questions I had just been asked. So when I went to the next section of questions, there's the helpful tips. And they matched all the answers. There was one question that didn't have the answers on the helpful tips, but I went through the rest of the test and took it, but I verified that those tips were there. And then when I hit submit, I had missed one question. Well, you have to get 100 on it, and it lets you go back and you can answer the question. So I answered the question correctly, got done with my training, and then I got a UAS proof of online training certificate. So I'm printing that out and I'm putting it in the binder as well. Well, in order to get this certificate, well, you had to go pay 30 euros to get the certificate that you've done the training. And it gives you a reference number, and it gives you the receipt for the proof of online training fee and the date that you paid for it. So, and a receipt number. So I printed that out so that if anybody has any questions, I can be like, I took the training. Here's a receipt to prove that I did it, and here's my certificate. The other thing that I did is I printed out one of the slides that come in the training, so that it talks about up to 900 grams, and it talks about some of the distances and things like that. That way, if I'm asked about anything, I can say, hey, look, here is the requirements. Basically, I just want to show that I've done my due diligence. I'm trying to be a responsible drone operator. I'm trying to be a considerate tourist and not break any rules. My intent behind this is that maybe if I'm doing something that I thought was right, but it wasn't, I won't have some issues that I could have by being a jerk American, be like, oh, I'm entitled to do this. So that's my intent behind it. The other thing I did also is I printed off this UAS with C class markings form, and I highlighted my two drones. Now I have them in here specifically for the Mini 4 Pro, and it says it's class C0. So C0 is under 249 grams. Well, I weighed my Mini 4, and it came in at 282. And that's not even with the propeller guards. That's just as it is with the battery and an SD card. And then if you look at the DJI website, there's a little asterisk that says some can vary in size and weight based off of materials used. So I didn't want to get busted for having an overweight drone when I thought I was good. So when you register, when you have a drone that has a camera, you have to register as an operator and register the drone and everything anyway. So when you register, it works for up to 25 kilograms. So now I'm good that I can fly my Mini 4 or my Mavic 3, but I have that here with the requirements as well. And I'm going to start writing down the places where I have to check for flight logs, so that I can see that I'm not violating anything. So, for example, when I go to Italy, they have a website called DFlight. I've already created an account there, but once you create that account, you can access it and it will tell you what areas you can and can't fly in. It's kind of like Aloft or Before You Fly here in America. But I'm going to start writing down every one that I need to go to for every country I'm going to go to, so I can make sure that I'm doing what I need to. And if I'm questioned about anything, I can say, hey, I checked this website, which is what's required by your country, to make sure I'm not flying in an unauthorized area. Just another way of trying to protect myself. And then it says, what kind of drone can I fly? This is right off of the EASA. I printed it as well, so that it's got a picture of the Mavic 3, it looks like. And then it's got a Mini 4, it looks like, but with guards on it. But it talks about the different classes being CO and C1 and whatnot, and if you can do A1 or A2 or A3. But I've got that again for more information, because sometimes if you come in prepared, they may give you some credit, or they just tired of trying to understand you. They might just be like, just go. So the other thing I did is I printed off this from the EASA. It's CO and C1. It talks about if you need to be registered or not. And here's what it is for CO. You do not need to register unless a camera or sensor on board and the drone is not considered a toy. So make sure, just register. It costs you 30 euros. I saw a video from somebody that did it in France, and they didn't get charged the 30 euros. So if you don't want to pay the money, you can go try, and you plan on going to France, try France. So they had a little icon for French and English. It had a British flag, so you can mark that, and you have it in English. The ESA video through the IAA that I had to take, it was an English video. It probably took about 10 minutes to watch. It took me about 5 minutes to answer the questions, and then I was done. So I would say all in all, I probably spent about 2 to 2.5 hours of research and doing what I need to do to become a authorized drone flyer in Europe. Now, just make sure that you understand where you're flying at, because I was looking at the J flight for Italy because that's the second place I'm going to go to, and um, there's a lot of areas you cannot fly because they're considered historical, and that's one of the places you cannot fly is in a historical area. You can't fly around prisons, you can't fly around airports. Like the common sense stuff here in America is the same there, but you need to make sure you use these apps and websites to know where you're going to fly because there's open areas and I've seen drone footage in these areas. So I don't know if they got a permit to fly or not. That's the other thing I'm going to check is to see if I can get a permit to fly, in the early hours or late at night. Because I have a beacon too for my night flying here in the States. But I want to see what I need to do that because I'd love to get some nice shots of some of these historical buildings. And I've seen a lot of stories about tourists coming in, messing it up with their drones, running the drones into the Parthenon and into the Colosseum and stuff because they don't know what they're doing. That just messes it up for all of us. So I hope this information is helpful. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. That way you can see what I'm able to do in these countries. I'm planning on trying to go to about 8 or 9 European countries this year. So hopefully I can hit one of the ones that you want to go to, and I can let you know issues I've had or not had, and give you some tips on how you can be as successful or maybe better than me. So until next time, happy flying.